released on bond during the appeal process. They're citing that she has deteriorating health while in confinement. The case has drawn national attention. As you know, Mike Lindell has been a huge advocate for Tina Peters, speaking with President Trump in the White House about Tina. Then President Trump has called on the Department of Justice to take all necessary action to release her, saying she is a political prisoner. Now that hearing again is set for tomorrow, and a crowd of supporters are scheduled to be there on hand, and we'll have more for you on the outcome right here on Spin Room tomorrow afternoon. There is the flyer that they are passing around Mesa County to get all of her fans and backers and supporters in hopes that she is released tomorrow on bail while she goes through this appeals process. And you can also get the latest on our social media pages as we follow the Tina Peters case. All breaking news is posted there. You can follow me and LindellTV on all of those platforms. We're going to be heading to the southern border when we come back, and also talking to General Flynn. Stay with us here on Spin Room.
Friends, we all know the truth. Big Pharma and the federal bureaucracy have made a mess of health care in this country, and boy, that's that's an understatement. President Trump signed an executive order to bring prices down, and that's a great step. But we know that real change takes time. There's one pharmacy that is already stepping up. I want to tell you about All Family Pharmacy. They're not waiting. They're taking action now with a summer sale that gives you the power to take control of your health. Right now, through the end of June, you get 20% off site-wide, no insurance required. Did you hear that? 20% off site-wide, no insurance required. They work with licensed doctors in all 50 states, and they ship fast straight to your door. Whether it's ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, methylene blue, antibiotics, emergency kits, or your daily prescriptions, this is a time to stock up. If you believe in medical freedom, if you're tired of waiting for someone else to fix things, do what I do. Take action. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Lindell and use promo code Lindell20, Lindell 20 for 20% off your entire order. That's allfamilypharmacy.com/Lindell. Promo code Lindell20. Let's protect our families, defend our freedom, and make America healthy again together.
With everybody talking about making America healthy again, I thought today'd be a great day to talk to all my fellow patriots about the importance of making your homes healthy again. Well, we have proudly partnered with airwaterhealing.com and their revolutionary whole home air purification system. The V3 from Air Water Healing does 3,000 square feet of purification. It eliminates dust, mold, viruses, and odors. But here's the part I love. They require no filters to ever be changed and virtually no maintenance. Whether you suffer from asthma, allergies, seasonal bronchitis, or just want to protect your family from the flu or even greater threats, don't wait to get your V3 from airwaterhealing.com today. Use code Lindell for 20% off in savings and free shipping. That's promo code Lindell at airwaterhealing.com.
Now to the southern border. Construction of a new border wall has started in New Mexico and also in Texas. Reporter Anthony Aguera, is joining us live now. Anthony, so good to see you. It was nice to see you yesterday send in video of the new wall going up. Give us an update there.
Well, thank you, first of all, for having me. And the construction of a 7-mile border wall has begun just east of the Santa Teresa port of entry in New Mexico. This secondary structure is being built north of a previous fencing system that was put up by George Bush, very much like chicken wire, only 18 feet high, and it was easily penetrated by the organized crime just south of the border. This new 30-foot wall is standing nice and tall, and it has it has began the construction earlier this past week. The local residents in that area are ecstatic, very excited, and again, once again, President Trump keeping his promises, keeping his word, and delivering on what he promised to the people.
Yeah, and to know, Anthony, that it was stopped during the Biden years, and so now to see it go up again, do you really see a big difference there now that there's more wall going up, that there's more security down there? What are you seeing?
It is a huge difference. It is a night and day difference. The organized crime south of the border is now having to take desperate measures and trying to take individuals further out east towards the Tornillo area. It is a smaller county on the outskirts of El Paso, Texas. This new barrier that is being erected right now will be connecting from Santa Teresa, New Mexico, all the way in through the Sunland Park area, connecting Sunland Park into pretty much El Paso, Texas, where previously Mr. Steve Bannon and the group called We Build a Wall actually funded and provided the citizens of Sunland Park, New Mexico, the first privately funded wall. So now those walls will be connected, and no more driving with these fancy UTVs and dirt bikes that the cartel was originally using in previous months, bringing in product and illegal aliens. Now all of that is pretty much, it has been eradicated. There is tons of surveillance out there. We have military equipment. One of them that comes off right off the top of my head is a striker.
All right. Okay, Anthony, I think we lost signal there, but Anthony is going to join us again because we're going to talk more about the difference with that wall going up, also trafficking of children. It's heartbreaking video that you're going to see. Anthony, do you see me? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. We were talking about the wall and that they were using dirt bikes. Can you pick up from there?
Yes, the criminal organization south of the border, they were using dirt bikes, UTVs, and quads to just drive across through an area where the Catholic Charities, Catholic Diocese of El Paso was reluctant on allowing the federal government to put any kind of federal fencing. Well, President Trump has circumvented that, and he is delivering on his promise. There is National Guard out there preventing these individuals from coming across in this manner, and there will be a wall being put up in that area as well. No more excuses. The Catholic Diocese of El Paso has no more say in this, and we're very proud of the advances that President Trump is making out there in Sunland Park, New Mexico.
They given a timeline, Anthony? Are you hearing any timeline on when this will be finished? You talked about that connecting of the wall to Texas.
There is no set timeline yet. I know that they're moving rapidly. I do believe that they will be doing probably about a quarter mile, about half a mile every week, and it's moving very fast. And like I said, the residents of Sunland Park, New Mexico, Santa Teresa, New Mexico, is something that they have been wanting for a very long time. You do have, of course, the loony left out there protesting, talking about not being healthy for the environment and for animals, that they can't come through. But really, that's just.
Okay, we keep losing Anthony there because he is in a remote location there on the border. We hope to have him back because I do want to talk about the child trafficking that's going on. You know, on mainstream media, you're not going to see this a lot, if at all. And so I wanted to show you this today, and if we can pull it up, because I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get Anthony back. We actually blurred this so you wouldn't see the children's faces. It's so brutal to watch. These are kids being drugged at the border in child trafficking cases. Again, you won't see this on mainstream media. They don't want you to know. But here, I wanted to show you this today. I've actually seen more of this before, and my heart spoke to me, and I said, you know what? The people of America need to know what's really going on. You need to see it. We hear about it all the time, but this is it. This is the video that Anthony has provided for us of children. Look at that sweet little girl, face blurred there because we don't want to show an innocent child. But surely, Anthony, I was just showing the pictures. Thanks for coming back. I know you're in a remote location, but I was just showing the video of these poor children who are being drugged as they're taken from their families and they're sold in this trafficking scheme. You've seen this firsthand. How awful is that to see?
It is very disturbing. It's something that definitely never leaves your head. It does never leave your mind. This is the motivator for me. I use this as motivation for me and trying to bring awareness to the situation. Might I remind your audience that during the Biden administration, they removed all kind of DNA testing, and that video was filmed maybe about a week after that was removed, where individuals were now bringing sedated children across the border. The sedated children that were being brought across the border in this manner was simply because since there was no more DNA testing, the only way that Border Patrol agents or CBP agents would separate these children from these individuals were if the kid, in fact, told them that he was not with a family member or with their parents. So in order to bypass that, they had these kids asleep the whole time while in the process of being allowed into the country. Many of these kids, after they were processed into the country with these criminals, these children were then returned back to Mexico, which is a term that we know down on the border as the recycled children of the border. These kids would go back to Mexico and do the process all over again with other grown adults, predominantly males, trying to expedite their entrance into the country. A lot of these kids were pretty much being rented out by the criminal organizations to men to try to expedite their entry into the United States of America. Luckily, President Trump is now back in office. DNA testing has resumed again, and this is not happening anymore. There has been zero illegal into the country this whole past month, thanks to President Trump.
Praise God. Those poor children, how disturbing to watch and to see. And thank you for providing that video so Americans can see what's really going on. But Anthony, when you see this, or when others see this, what do? Do you go report it? Is there anything you can do? How does that process work if you stumble upon something like this? Because you're down there every single day.
So I've built a very good rapport with the Border Patrol agents and some of the chiefs that work in these areas, and I have easy access to some of them to just be able to pick up the phone and call them and allude them to what's currently happening. During the last year of the Biden administration in 2024, I was still reporting, but I was actually intercepting some of these children that were being brought in thus manner from the southern border. The traffickers would be in one point, and I would position myself in between the traffickers that were there to pick them up illegally and the people that were coming in. I would intercept them, bring them to safety, and then I would be calling Border Patrol agents to come and pick them up before they made it out to the vehicles that were out on the southern border, waiting for them just to be picking them up. Luckily, like I said, President Trump has stopped all of that. There's a lot of border security now. There's a lot more agents on the ground, and so that is a huge factor and a huge deterrent for some of these illegal crossings in this manner.
So take me through too. So, we hear that there's been zero crossings, thank goodness, for President Trump. He said it from the beginning, all we needed was a new president, and that is definitely the case. So take us through the Biden years, what you saw down there versus today. It has to be a huge slowdown. What we voted for, this is what we voted for, but there's a huge difference there. Like, what do you see on a day-to-day basis now versus then?
Well, it's definitely nothing how it was during the Biden administration. During the Biden administration in 2024, I actually witnessed and documented thousands and thousands and thousands of military age males coming across the border. There's a specific group that I will let your audience know about that I was able to document from a location out in Arizona, Lukeville, Arizona, where I documented at least 100,000 military age males coming in from countries that belong to an organization known as the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. The Organization of Islamic Cooperation consists of 57 countries.
All right, we're going to wrap it up with Anthony because I know that he's in that remote location. It's hard for us to get a signal there, but he did give us good guidance on building the wall, the updates there on the poor children who were trafficked, during the Biden years, and they just left it wide open for this to happen. But as Anthony just told you, that has come to an end. Thank goodness for the children there, and also a big difference for our border security, who every day they were fighting these illegals and the cartel at the border, and now things have slowed down tremendously. So a great report there from our reporter Anthony on the ground at the southern border. Now when we come back here on Spin Room, a one-on-one with General Michael Flynn, the Russia hoax, he was targeted. Now the tables have turned. The hunted are now the hunters, and we dig deep into the investigation next.
Swollen limbs, joint pain, inflammation, skin aging, and cognitive decline. These are just a few of the awful side effects that you can experience due to poor blood circulation. And popping ibuprofen is not a solution to the pain. It's only temporary relief, and it's only masking the true problem, which is inflammation. Researchers are saying to add this Antarctic super nutrient to your diet. I'm talking about omega-3 fatty acids, but not just any form of omegas. These particular omega-3 fatty acids are sourced from wild-caught krill. Has been shown to support healthy blood pressure, circulation, brain health, as well as reduce inflammation, swelling, and joint pain. For a limited time, you can grab Native Path Antarctic Krill Oil for up to 66% off plus free shipping. Just go to getkrill.com/Lindell right now to get your special offer. Whether it's being a weekend warrior or spending time with your family, feeling your best is the key to doing the things you love. That's why I'm excited to tell you about Nirvanta. It's a natural solution designed to help you stay active and live well naturally. Nirvanta is a topical blend of all natural essential oils like frankincense, myrrh, and a proprietary gold standard plant stock extract. It's perfect for your hands, feet, knees, back, or anywhere else that needs a little extra care. Use Nirvanta proactively as part of your daily maintenance routine, and you're guaranteed you're going to feel the difference. Simply massage Nirvanta in for at least 60 seconds, 2 to 3 times a day to get the best results. And if you're not completely satisfied, you get your money back. No questions asked. There's simply no risk and no reason not to try Nirvanta today. Right now, you get 15% off with code Lindell exclusively at NirvantaHealth.com. So stop reaching out for that medicine cabinet. Get Nirvanta instead and experience the difference. Go to NirvantaHealth.com. Use code Lindell to get 15% off today. Nirvanta Health. Live well naturally.
It all started in 2016 under the Obama administration. The FBI, they launched Crossfire Hurricane. That's an investigation with alleged ties between the Trump campaign associates and Russian officials. Carter Page, George Papadopoulos, and former National Security Advisor General Michael Flynn. The evidence we know now, in some cases, are completely fabricated. General Flynn is joining us today in a Spin Room exclusive. General Flynn, thanks so much for being here with us today.
Great. Thanks, Vanessa, for having me. Appreciate it. Really amazing times that we're in right now with the exposure by Tulsi Gabbard, the director of national intelligence. I mean, it's mind blowing, not surprising to me, but I think for the majority of Americans to try to comprehend that we would have a former president of the United States of America basically trying to overthrow a sitting president, in this case, Donald J. Trump. And we now know that that is factually based. It's not hypothetical. It's not theoretical. It is now factually based. And I know that the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, is going to provide additional information here this week that is supposed to be even more damning than what we already have seen in the last 72 hours. So get ready, folks, put your seatbelts on, because this is going to be a wild, wild ride. And she's also referred what she has learned, what her and her team learned, she's referred it over to the Department of Justice for criminal prosecution. For, I think she said, if I got it right, don't hold me to it, but I think she said conspiracy to commit treason is, words to that effect that Tulsi Gabbard used, yesterday on another show on one of the cable networks. So this is really, really bad. The United States of America I never thought we'd ever be in a place like this, but we are, because of an individual by the name of Barack H. Obama, who came in for 8 years. 8 years he was the president of the United States, and he did more damage to our country as he talked about fundamentally transforming America into something else. I mean, this man that I think you're showing right now to your audience did so much damage to our country. And like he said, if I could just, whisper in somebody's ear and do a third term, well, guess what, folks? That's exactly what he did while Uncle Joe was our president for the last 4 years, a man who we now know was not even all there, damn near all 4 years. So we have back in 2016, and one of the revelations that came out, and I don't mean to be going on and on here, Vanessa, but you gave me the platform, you gave me the floor here. But, one of the revelations that Tulsi Gabbard came out with was this new piece of evidence, which I was not aware of, and I've been aware of. I've been, obviously at the fulcrum of this thing, where Barack Obama, he requested that Trump not even hire me. Now we know why. But the 8th of December, 2016, was another meeting inside of the Oval Office, apparently, where Barack Obama gave direction and intent to basically undermine President Trump. At that time, President-elect Trump, but to undermine him, to basically get him out of office. And that's where I think the essence of the coup, the coup to overthrow the United States of America, to overthrow President Donald J. Trump, that became reality. Because if we remember back a few months prior, and this is all evidence now, this is all information that came out, a lot of it came out in my case, and I talk about it in my new book, Pardon of Innocence, where Peter Strzok, the deputy director for counterespionage inside of the FBI, and his lover, but also the number 2 lawyer at the FBI, Lisa Page, they talked about having an insurance policy. And if in case Trump wins, we have an insurance policy. Well, now we know what that insurance policy is all about. The insurance policy was they being a Barack Obama and his national security minions, were not going to allow Donald Trump to succeed as president, as the duly elected president of the United States of America. And it began in this now which is going to be a famous meeting, 8 December. I've been talking about the 5th of January, a month later, the 5th of January in the Oval Office again with Barack Obama, Jim Clapper, Jim Comey, John Brennan, Susan Rice, Sally Yates, and a couple of other of their national security minions. He then again addressed it at that point in time to basically, this is where the very famous phrase, first we're going to F Flynn and then we're going to F Trump. So that now they knew they had to get rid of me. And a whole series of events began, and here we are in summer of 2025, right? 8-9 years later almost. And it's taken us this long. And now all I can say is thank God that President Donald J. Trump was not assassinated by these son of a guns this past summer, which they took they took a couple of attempts at his life. Thank God he won this last election. Otherwise, our nation, I just don't know where we'd be.
General, you mentioned that you were intentionally set up. You were on one of the most high-profile targets of the Russia investigation. Looking back, do you believe you were intentionally set up initially? And when did you find out that this was going on?
Yeah, so 100% yes, right to your first question, the first part of your question. When I discovered it was really about halfway through the Mueller investigation. So I always felt like, I pled guilty for a very specific reason, and I've described that in the book that I have out now, as well as anybody that wants to see a award-winning documentary that I did called Flynn. So about halfway through the Mueller investigation, when evidence started to come out, particularly evidence that came out from my former agency, DIA, Defense Intelligence Agency, and also from two other places. The Durham report started to push some information out, the Durham investigation, but also there was an IG investigation done by the Intelligence Community Inspector General, and they released a bunch of information. And that's when I got rid of the former law firm that I had, and I hired Sidney Powell, the great Sidney Powell, and we dug our heels in, and we pulled my guilty plea. And some time later, a number of, probably, I don't know how many months it was later, another year and a half almost, my case was dismissed. A lot of people, Vanessa, think that I went to prison, that I was convicted. None of those things ever happened. I fought tooth and nail after I decided I was going to pull my guilty plea, which every person has the right to do. I pulled it because I knew I wasn't guilty at the beginning, and I knew more and more evidence was starting to come out. And I said at that point in time, we're going to fight for additional evidence. This is like around the 2019 timeframe, 2019, early 2019 into 2020. And we fought for over a year. And finally, my case was dismissed. And I should have never needed a pardon. And that's why I call the book Pardon of Innocence, because Trump had to pardon an innocent man. Never in the history of the country has a president of the United States had to issue a pardon for someone like that, because I was innocent. There was no charges against me any longer. So why would I have to take a pardon that I did not want, by the way? I took it because of a very egregious, very vicious, conniving judge. And now with what we've seen over the last 6 months with what the judiciary has done to President Trump, everybody is beginning to see what's going on in our country. And this communist infiltration of our nation, the institutions of government, and right here in Washington, D.C., I'm talking to you from Washington, D.C. right now, here in the swamp. And I'm back here to continue to fight to defeat this corruption and to help Donald J. Trump, President Trump, actually expose even more evidence that's going to be exposed. It is going to come out. It's going to come out a lot faster than I think people normally expect, because I don't want another 3 or 4 years investigation. We have all the evidence we need. What the courageous and very committed and very disciplined Tulsi Gabbard just did for this country will go down in the annals of history, because she just exposed the intentionality of a president of the United States, former president Barack H. Obama, basically initiating the elements of a coup d'etat to overthrow another president of the United States, President Donald J. Trump, and the United States of America. That's so stunning of a revelation, and everybody in this country needs to come to grips with it. So your audience and everybody that I talk to, because I'm going to let people know that we are facing and it hasn't ended. We are facing a takeover of this country, and it has not ended. These people will have a plan. They will come back, and President Trump knows it. I know it. And I now know that the Director of National Intelligence is not going to be a wallflower figurehead. She is going to be a fighter for really what is right, and a fighter for our constitutional rights and privileges that we have, not just for Donald J. Trump, but for this country. And that's what she talked about over the last couple of days in her speaking out about this. And also, She did a great interview on, I think, the Maria Bartoloma show yesterday. So extraordinary courage that Tulsi Gabbard just demonstrated.
Yes, that was a wonderful interview. Then President Trump put out last night on Truth Social a video of former President Obama being arrested. General, will Obama be arrested?
I think what they need to do is they need to first, and I'm very certain about this because they did it to me. They need to take all of their passports and revoke or suspend them immediately on all these people, Barack Obama all the way down, all of his minions and his national security team, revoke or suspend so they cannot, abscond the country, so they can't leave the country. And they need to be checking all these private airfields and private aircraft that all these people fly around in. That's number one. The second thing is, if they haven't already formed a task force, they need to form a task force. And I do believe that there will be evidence that will be found in their homes. So just like they raided Mar-a-Lago, they should be considering a raid on Barack Obama's home here in Washington, D.C. If not here, he's got a place in Martha's Vineyard. He's got a place, I believe, out in Maui. All those places need to be checked out. They all need to be raided for evidence. These people conducted a coup to overthrow our country, and they need to feel the heat of a very serious investigation that Tulsi Gabbard referred or preferred over to the Department of Justice as a criminal referral. So that's a big deal. That's a bad problem for them. And those are just a few of the steps that need to happen.
So who else do you believe knew the truth and covered it up from the beginning?
I think from the beginning, and I would say the beginning, and to answer this question, I think that the beginning started probably right after the election in 2016. With one caveat. I do believe that John McCain, right, may he rest in peace, John McCain was aware that this was a setup by the Hillary Clinton machinery because he was given access to the information prior to the election. And there might be some others, but he certainly was one. The others that after the election, the others that had to have known about this, remember, after that election won the House and the Senate for the Republican Party. So Speaker Ryan, President McConnell, right? President of the Senate, Mitch McConnell, they're part of what's called the Gang of Eight. So they were briefed on all this stuff. They had to have been briefed on every bit of it. And in fact, we know that they were because Devin Nunes, who was the chairman of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, he went over after being briefed. Now I was gone out of the White House, but this was like the March, April timeframe. Devin Nunes went over to the White House and briefed the president of the United States on the intelligence that he had just seen. And so they knew it then. He briefed the president. And then what did Paul Ryan do? Paul Ryan had him removed from his chairmanship job, which is just, to me, is another, now everybody needs to go back and look at that and ask the question, why did Paul Ryan remove Devin Nunes at that time? What did he know? What did McConnell know? Now we know McConnell's like Uncle Joe. McConnell's, mind is not all there anymore because he's whatever. He has problems with his mind right now. Maybe he's got partial dementia that we learned that Biden had. But Paul Ryan is still around. He's running Fox News, right? Somebody needs to ask Paul Ryan, what did he know and when did he know it? Because he was the Speaker of the House at that time. McConnell was the President of the Senate. They had access to all this information. The other person, and I think this is another bombshell, is Mike Pompeo. Mike Pompeo was the director of the CIA at the time. The other guy, Senator Dan Coates, was the director of national intelligence. All these guys, John Ratcliffe, current director of the CIA. He became the director of national intelligence later on in the Trump administration. What are these guys not know any of this? So are they incompetent, or were they just not doing their jobs, or they just wanted Donald Trump to fail? There's your bombshell right there, Vanessa. These are members of the GOP, which I don't have any time for these guys. I don't, because what do they want? They want Donald Trump to go away. And thank God, again, and Mike Lindell, who's a good friend of mine, I know we're on LindellTV. Mike Lindell talks about a series of miracles that needed to happen. And I believe that. I believe despite the pain that my family went through and the pain that Trump and his family went through and that our country has experienced, our country needed to go through this experience because it required most Americans who were asleep at the switch to wake up. And the American people, they began to start to wake up, and they got Donald Trump reelected again, thank God. And I think more and more Americans are going to wake up to the fact that we cannot take our country for granted. We have got to get involved at every single level of our citizenry. We've got to be more serious about our country and the risks that we are facing if we don't stay engaged as an engaged citizenry here in the Republic, here in this beautiful country we call the United States of America. We needed to go through this process, and as God only knows the outcome, I do believe that this was part and parcel to why this country is a nation built on Christian principles and values, and we needed a reminder. And it was a harsh reminder, and you know what? I sit here today, sort of having risen above it, and thank God that I was given the resolve that I was given to be able to stand this test, because boy, I'll tell you, this was not easy, and neither was it for Trump. But this country needed to go through this, because think about what we have just talked about, Vanessa, a coup d'etat by one president against another president to undermine the United States of America and to overthrow a presidency. That's so stunning. It's outrageous, and people need to be held accountable.
You brought up Mike Lindell, and I want to circle back to him in just a moment, but I want to go back to some of the names that a lot of Americans are questioning about this hoax and who was involved. Hillary Clinton. The Steele dossier was funded by her campaign. She admitted to that. Should there be legal consequences for that?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Hillary Clinton started it all, right? She started it all because she is so desperate for power. I mean, just an incredible, what a sycophant she is. And so she's so desperate. So, she started all this by creating this fake document. People around her, people like Robbie Mook was out during the campaign, talking about this Russia collusion stuff even then. So there has to be some consequence. I think the consequence of anything is these people are going to have to all lawyer up. So it's going to come at a cost, which I know, believe me, cost me an awful lot for all the lawyers that I had to get to go through this fake, absolute fake investigation, a false investigation based on false pretenses. So Hillary Clinton is going to have to be brought in, if nothing else, for questioning. Now, people might start pointing back at her, right? There might be, in fact, I know that there's other whistleblowers that are coming forward, and there's other evidence from people that are in that inner circle that have come forward to basically sing, like they say, sing, so they don't get into trouble, or they lighten their prison sentences a little bit because they're given state's witness now. So there's going to be some of that. So Hillary Clinton's not off the hook, and at the most, or the minimum, she should be called in for questioning for sure. And she may even need to be investigated again for the kinds of things that she did in order to drive this. Was she part of the conversations? Is there email traffic? Are there text messages after Donald Trump won that brought her and her team, Podesta being one of them, into these conversations where they talked about overthrowing the United States of America? I mean, all this is going to have to come into play.
I have one more name for you, Joe Biden. You were reportedly unmasked by Biden himself. Do you think he knew from the beginning?
Yeah, I was unmasked by, I think there was at least 50 people that unmasked me. So it wasn't just Joe Biden. 50. It's unbelievable, unprecedented in U.S. history for that to occur, and not one person has been found guilty, and all of that was done illegally. I don't think Joe Biden is going to be able to stand trial for anything. I think Joe Biden has, probably, if not beyond partial, he might even have full-on dementia at this point in time. Joe Biden he was not the president of the United States for these last 4 years. It was likely Barack Obama operating from his basement in his residence up on what they call Embassy Row, up in the Kalorama area. And like Barack Obama said, I'd love to be a third term, but I don't want to actually sit in the White House. Well, he didn't. He entered the White House, I guess, hundreds of times now that we know. So I don't think anything. Joe Biden might be called in to be questioned, but I don't think he's capable. I don't think he's mentally nor intellectually capable of doing any of that. So, I mean, it's sad in a way for Joe Biden that he's in that state of affairs, but lucky from a criminal perspective.
Right. He gets a pass. So you brought up Mike Lindell just a few minutes ago. If you look, General, at what Mike Lindell has gone through just for saying that the 2020 election was stolen verbally, and then you look at this Russia hoax that all of these masterminds put together that lead our country, which is treason, there's a huge difference on who's the real criminal here, and it's not Mike Lindell.
Yeah. So here's my message to not just Mike, but my message to America is that all these legal cases, all these lawsuits by certain election processing system companies, right? All these lawsuits, and there's been some that have been paid, I guess, by I think Fox paid and Newsmax might have paid, and but all these lawsuits that are out there, and there are some that are still pending. There are some. What I would tell everybody is hold on to your money, because I think that what is going to come out from the DNI and from some people that I know that are working on this issue, we are going to see an exposure of foreign interference and institutional interference, meaning people that were part of an intent to continue this coup, right? This coup that we just talked about, and overthrow the president, get rid of Trump, right, in the 2020 election. I think what we're going to see is an extraordinary set of bombshells, if you will, a word that I've grown. I don't really like that much, but I think we're going to see an extraordinary amount of intelligence coming out of the DNI, because a lot of this was done on classified systems. A lot of the communications that these people did, even though it is not classified information, there was a lot of classified systems used to have conversations so they could hide every bit of it. That has to end, and I know that happened. So I think through the DNI, through the Department of Justice, and through some others in the White House, we're going to see a turning of the tables when it comes to our elections here. And what is my remedy down the road? What I think Donald Trump is going to have to do? I really do believe this. I believe he's going to have to declare a national emergency to run our 2026 elections correctly, because otherwise, the system hasn't been fixed yet. So hold on to your belts, or tighten your seat belts, folks. Get the popcorn out, and those that have been sued for large amounts of money, hold on to your money, because I don't think it's over yet. I think we're going to see a lot more evidence coming out about some of the way that the 2020 election was stolen.
We're holding on tight. I know the American people want answers. We also know that it takes time. President Trump just hit his 6-month mark this past weekend, and so he's doing great. Lots of wins under his belt, and so we're eager to see answers in the Russia hoax investigation, also a lot of other investigations. We know that his administration is very...
I want people to understand that this is a huge, huge victory for Trump, and it's just the beginning of a long line of victories that he's going to have just on this line of operation, we would call it in the military. This is a huge, huge victory. He's having victories overseas. He's having victories with the economy, our border. I mean, all kinds of stuff. But this is another victory, and I don't want people to lose that idea that this is just something that happened and it's sad. No, this is a huge victory to really expose the corruption, the deep state corruption that exists in our country. And Barack Obama was right at the tip of, talk about tip of the spear, leading these corrupt criminals that did this to our country.
Right, and President Trump said that from the beginning. He was going to come in 2016 and drain the swamp. Here it is, 2025, and that Russia investigation is finally coming to light, and we're happy to see it. And, you know, you're right, General Flynn, you know, you have the deep state, and it's very deep, and how much corruption is there, and how they've gotten away with it all this time. You needed someone like President Trump to come in and fix the problems from the very top.
Exactly. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, General Flynn. Thanks so much for being here with us today. Appreciate your insight. Please come back and join us again soon. And as we close out the show today, we're going to close like we always do with our prayer of the day, our Bible verse of the day. It comes from the book of John, and it says, Jesus cried out and said, "He who believes in me does not believe in me, but in him who sent me. He who sees me sees the one who sent me. I have come as light into the world, so that everyone who believes in me will not remain in darkness." And that's John chapter 12, verse 44 and 45. And as we end the show, a reminder to support Mike Lindell. You can go to mypillowtrial.com, donate what you can, and help him get through his appeal process. As General Flynn just mentioned, he is fighting the deep state as well. He has helped so many people over the years, so now Mike Lindell needs your support. Any dollar helps. Go to mypillowtrial.com, and as always, you can shop mypillow.com. Use the promo code Vanessa. And that'll do it for us here today on Spin Room. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you same time, same place tomorrow. Steve Bannon's War Room is next, and you're watching LindellTV.
Whether it's being a weekend warrior or spending time with your family, feeling your best is the key to doing the things you love. That's why I'm excited to tell you about Nirvanta. It's a natural solution designed to help you stay active and live well naturally. Nirvanta is a topical blend of all natural essential oils like frankincense, myrrh, and a proprietary gold standard plant stock extract. It's perfect for your hands, feet, knees, back, or anywhere else that needs a little extra care. Use Nirvanta proactively as part of your daily maintenance routine, and you're guaranteed you're going to feel the difference. Simply massage Nirvanta in for at least 60 seconds, 2 to 3 times a day to get the best results. And if you're not completely satisfied, you get your money back. No questions asked. There's simply no risk and no reason not to try Nirvanta today. Right now, you get 15% off with code Lindell exclusively at nirvantahealth.com. So stop reaching out for that medicine cabinet. Get Nirvanta instead and experience the difference. Go to nirvantahealth.com. Use code Lindell to get 15% off today. Nirvanta Health. Live well naturally. Have you ever wondered what happened to the legendary Chuck Norris? Well, I recently saw a video he made and I was shocked. That guy's amazing and he's staying active well into his 80s. What's even more shocking is he's stronger, can work out longer, and even has plenty of energy left over for his grandkids. He did this by just making one change. He says he still feels like he's in his 50s. His wife even started doing this one thing too, and she's never felt better. She says she feels 10 years younger, her body looks leaner, and she has energy all day. Chuck made a very special video that explains everything. Make sure you watch it by going to chuckdefense.com/Lindell. It will change the way you think about your health. Once again, that's chuckdefense.com/Lindell. You won't believe how simple it is. The last time President Trump was in office, gold soared 50% and silver went up a huge 53%. Americans who invested in silver and gold during Donald Trump's first presidency are very happy that they did it. And right now, gold continues to soar to the highest numbers in history. These gains are just an appetizer for what's to come. Some market analysis are saying that gold is predicted to rise another 30% in the next year alone. So now's the time to invest in